Reaction from the managers there, Mikel Arteta for Arsenal and Ange Postecoglou. Both managers feeling they should have, gotten more from that game, but many will say it's a fair result, considering the fact that both teams went to that one with their heads high. Well, Precious Adeosu is on the show. Good evening to you, Precious.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you really called the game at the weekend saying it's Arsenal's game to win. Did you think Arsenal lost the points, or perhaps it was a valuable point for both sides to go home with?
I feel Arsenal actually lost the point because the second goal, the equalizer from Tottenham, was
that came from
an error.
Jorginho's mistake.
Was an error, like a clear, blatant error from Jorginho in the last line of defense. So I feel Arsenal were the better team. They should have gone home with all 3 points. But sometimes in football, it was a very interesting watch. But both sides coming up with a point each.
And not a bad result for both sides at the end of the day. Well, let's go to the United Kingdom, where the publisher of ACL Sports.com, Calvin Onwuka, joins us via Zoom to review all the action from the Premier League at the weekend. Good evening to you, Calvin. Thank you for joining us on the program. Which of the games caught your attention? I'm sure you would really fancy one or two of the matches. But let's start from what was your pick of the weekend?
Good evening, Emmanuel. Thanks for having me. The North London derby was really good. It was good because I thought in the first 15 minutes, Arsenal threatened to blow Spurs out of the stadium. But Spurs settled and began to show why they're such a wonderfully coached side this season. They've been absolutely fantastic. Many teams would have collapsed after Arsenal scored that first goal. But Spurs didn't panic. They just played the ball slowly, steadily, and got into shape, and then got the equalizer that is thoroughly merited at the time. I'm hearing pressure saying that Arsenal deserved to win. Arsenal should never have had that penalty. That was a joke of a penalty decision. But the worst part was not the decision.
But there was a contact. You would agree. There was a contact. That Romero's hand was away from his body, and he didn't make contact with the ball.
Emmanuel, if you trip off where you are sitting at the moment and you're almost falling, there's no way you will not stretch out your hand. That's what that is.
We've seen worse penalties given in football. But let's leave that.
True.
Let's talk about this Tottenham side. Do you think Postecoglou is finally bringing that confidence into this team, and Tottenham may be set for something very remarkable this season? I mean, this was their very first big test of the new season, and I really think they came out not too bad from it.
I said at the beginning of the season that I thought that Spurs, it would be fascinating to watch Spurs this season with a new coach and without Harry Kane. And it's proven such. They are very comfortable. That is what I like. They're going about their business. All the players are at home now, and all the players, there's not that one player they have to go to like it used to be with Harry Kane. So there's a stretch out, and the players are playing for the team. Listen, it's only 6 matches played. We will see how well they're able to do that going as the season progresses and as they begin to play more games. I also said at the start of the season that there's a team I really ask everybody to watch. It is Brighton. Last weekend, Brighton went to Old Trafford and they drilled Manchester United. It was a training session for them. They got a...
Okay, all right. I think we're still going to try to reconnect with Calvin.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Good to have you back.
Yes, they had a rude awakening in the midweek when they played AEK Athens. But they've come back in the league and went to go down, and they just continue playing their way and easily dismissed Bournemouth. So yes, there have been some really fascinating matches going on in the league.
All right, you've mentioned two teams. You've mentioned how Tottenham have been very exciting for you so far. And of course, for Brighton, they look like they picked up from where they left it off last season. For many, it's even a surprise at the fact that they even sold many of the players, but the energy and the intensity is still there. But we'll come to Brighton in a bit. Let's talk about the champions, Manchester City, who are not even losing sleep. They are the team with the perfect record in England right now. 6 matches, 6 wins, and Pep Guardiola's team are looking like they're not going to lose sleep. Do you think anybody can wrestle the title away from them?
When you've won the league three years on the bounce, you go into every match believing that you will win it. And that is so important. And then your opponents also come into the match thinking, oh, how many are we going to lose by today? that gives you a goal start. Now, the good thing for the other teams is Liverpool are informed, really informed. Liverpool are informed. The hysteria around Arsenal is also driving them forward. That they think they can do something. All it takes will be one defeat or one draw, and that will give other teams the confidence to go into it. But still, toppling City will be very, very, very difficult. It's not impossible. Stranger things have happened in football, but it would not surprise me. I would hate it though. It would not surprise me if they do four titles on the bounce.
Let's talk about this incident we have on the screen. Rodri, one player that Pep Guardiola has singled out to be the standout player for them since last season. Rodri losing his head in this game. What do you think Pep Guardiola will be saying to this man in the dressing room?
Nothing. It's very unlike him. That is the strangest thing. It's very unlike him.
Especially at a time when Pep Guardiola needs a central midfielder. Kovacic is still trying to recover. They've got, Calvin Phillips is still struggling with match fitness. Rodri seems to be the guy that holds it together for them, both in Europe and in the Premier League. And now he lost his head getting a straight red card.
But now this is the time for Calvin Phillips to step up and prove that he's not just there to collect his weekly salary. He's now going to have to play and make sure that City don't miss Rodri as much as they would have without Calvin waiting. But it's good. And like I said, it was very, very unlike him to do that. But it happens. Once you do that, you get this red card. But City are so well stocked that I don't even expect that they are going to drop that many points if they do at all because of Rodri's absence. Guardiola is so good at tinkering with stuff. He can move everybody. Who knows? John Stones might be good enough to come back, fit enough to come back, and then he will just go and play in midfield like he did towards the back end of last season. City will be fine.
All right, Calvin, I'm still going to take your thoughts. About Chelsea, Manchester United, how their weekend went. But let's talk about Newcastle. 8-0 at Sheffield United. No one saw that coming. I'm sure you yourself, you'll be surprised if you didn't watch that game to see that scoreline. And the interesting thing about this is that we had 8 different goal scorers. What exactly is happening with Newcastle? Do you think playing in Europe has now given them another sense of confidence that they can now approach everybody as a big boy?
I watched Newcastle in pre-season at Ibrox when they played Glasgow Rangers. What struck me was how much quicker, faster, and more intense than they were to the Glasgow side. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how come there's this big difference between the two sides? Newcastle under Eddie Howe are really, really confident. They're really comfortable. And if you waste time with them, they will batter the team. That's what they did to Aston Villa on the opening day of the season. They once they scored their first 2 goals yesterday, I said to myself, this is going to be really disastrous for Sheffield United. And so it proved. What for me is remarkable is not the scoreline. It's the fact that 8 different scorers scored. That's what it was. Because Sheffield United were never going to offer any proper defense. And Newcastle, in the mood that they are, you offer them a chance, they would pillage and they would do what they did yesterday.
Absolutely. All right, okay, before I let you go, Calvin, let's have your take on Chelsea. What needs to happen for the Blues to get back their season? They're lying 14th after 6 matches. It's not looking so good for them. They've not even scored in the entire month of September. I mean, it's really worrisome. And they're not even playing in Europe. So we expect them to be fresh and ready for each Premier League game, but it's not happening. What is the missing link for Chelsea? by your own estimation?
They don't have a striker, and it is the most astonishing thing that happened in the summer. How did you spend all that money for all those defensive midfielders, for all those wide forwards, for all those attacking midfielders?
They bought
and
Nicholas
you
Jackson.
did
Nicholas
not-
Jackson is a striker. I mean,
Nicholas,
he's a striker
how do
by appellation.
no, yes, he is.
And
But
they
that's
got
the
they got
problem.
Christopher Nkuku.
Who is injured, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
So
absolutely.
that's the problem, because when you watch Chelsea, they play really good football. They play at speed. They play everything you want them to do. But the problem becomes when you don't score goals. That's the thing in football. Because it's such a low-scoring sport, if you don't score goals, problems begin to build. Especially when you then now concede that one goal. It becomes difficult. Everybody will lose confidence in everything they're supposed to be doing. So that's the main problem with Chelsea. They have to start scoring goals. Where they're going to find it, I don't know. Whether they probably start playing Raheem Sterling as a false nine. Perhaps that will get more players into the box for them, and he might finish more. But that's the thing for them. Once they can start to score goals, they will be fine. But it has to be quickly, or else Pochettino will be out of a job.
Well, of course, we hope Pochettino will be able to turn the result around quickly. Calvin, we must say a very big thank you to you. I'm sure you're happy that Manchester United finally got a win at the weekend. You think perhaps United can now confidently approach their season this time around?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I actually don't think so. I've sized up this and the football club at the moment, and I think the big problem is Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag is too stubborn, too proud, and too arrogant to realize that the way he's been going about his work is not going to work. It's not going to work, and it's a results business. I was one of the people who was dying for him to be employed, but watching him over the last 6-7 months, he seems to be stuck in his ways, and it has to be that way only. It's a results business. If United don't win games, get more points, it will get sacked. That's how it happens.
It happens. Thank you so much, Calvin Onwuka, publisher, ACL Sports.com. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your insights and analysis.
Thank you, Manu. Thank you.
All right, of course, the Premier League always gives us lots of talking points. Precious, let me take your thoughts on some of the games you watched over the weekend. Do you agree with Calvin? Chelsea, they just have a need for another set of striker to drive the team.
Honestly, Chelsea have a big issue scoring goals. They are actually creating few chances here and there, but
do you think there's a leadership problem in the Chelsea rank? Most of the players are on the same frequency. There's nobody to look up to. There's nobody to dictate the pace. There's no leader who drives or carries the team. You could see Tottenham. There's a Son Heung-min who step into the leadership vacuum.
But Chelsea have a player like Thiago Silva.
How crucial is Thiago Silva in the setup of the current Chelsea team?
Is the main centre back alongside Cowell and Disasi. So he should be in control of Chelsea's defense has not been poor by any stretch. The problem is scoring goals. We can't seem to find the back of the net at the moment.
Okay. Did I hear you say we? Okay. Well, the story of the La Liga at the weekend was that Celta Vigo played for 80 minutes. There were 2 goals up, and in the remaining 10 minutes, Barcelona changed that story. They won by 3-2, and they are now top of the La Liga. Do you think Barcelona are now beginning to have that confidence that we can actually get? It's the second time that they are coming from behind. During the week, we saw them in the Champions League win by 5-1. I mean, now we're seeing them again coming from behind. Even when things don't seem to work, there's always a Robert Lewandowski. And you cannot take away the number of experience in that Barcelona side. They've got the likes of Lewandowski, Gundogan, there's João Cancelo. It looks like Barcelona are now beginning to get their groove back.
It was really nice to see them scoring 3 goals in less than 10 minutes to completely flip the game. Because if you actually watch the game on Saturday, they got opened up by Celta Vigo, considered a lot of chances on the counter. Celta Vigo lost a lot of chances. They could have easily buried the game. But Barca turned it on, scored the first goal in the 80th minute, and went on, just kept on pushing, scored the 3 goals, and
What would you say is the difference between Barca and Real Madrid this season?
I feel Barca have the ability to score more goals. They can score freely. They have a lot of options, goal scoring options, goal scoring threats. They have likes of Joao Felix, Cancelo is doing wonderfully. Settled in doing wonderfully.
Yes, Ferran Torres.
They have Lewandowski. But on the other hand, Madrid, either a late goal from Bellingham, or Rodrigo has not.
Or maybe Valverde getting a screamer from outside.
Like Valverde Rodrigo has not really been getting the goals this season. Joselu not really bringing the goals. So I think Madrid still have a goal scoring problem, whereas Barca, they can turn it on. They have a lot of options. Goals can come from anywhere.